Maybe. There we go. All right. There we go.
Hello.
You may have noticed that that was actually still May's and not June's. But Angie was having a little bit of technical difficulty with June's, and we threatened her to either come up with something or she'd have to sing the opening.
I came up with something. No one wants to hear me sing.
That's not entirely true.
We liked your chipmunk song.
Oh, we loved your chipmunk song.
We love the chipmunk song.
I still have the broken soundboard right here. So.
And When You Wish Upon a Star.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know what? Why don't I? You just reminded me I needed to make that into a thing. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the topic tonight is going to be groomer to groomer communications, or possibly groomer to groomer miscommunications. Okay. So I think the first thing I'm going to start off with is please stop making cutesy names for cuts that mean something to you, but not to the rest of the world.
May I lead us off, Mary?
Yes,
Puppy
you.
cut. Can we say puppy cut?
So I had a dog in my very first salon that I ever worked at, and her name was Spanky, and she was one of those special dogs that got to sit in the office chair the whole time and never went into a kennel. But she literally was a Lhasa Apso, and she had a cocker cut. So to me, that became a Spanky. And it was Spanky for the next 10 years. And of course, I'd always have to explain what a Spanky was. So that's basically what we're talking about. Don't make cute names and then expect people 2 states over to know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Cocker cut on any other dog or whatever.
Okay, so if you've ever had a client come to you and say, I want a spanky, I want to get spankied, or blame yourself.
Yeah, blame me. It's my fault.
All right. So one of my business partners, Christy, had a dog. He was a Shih Tzu mix, and his name was Hammy. And Hammy's mom came in the first time, and she said, "I want lammy legs." What are lammy legs? Because there's sheep have a big round body, little skinny legs. Is that what you want? She said, no, I want lammy legs.
Okay, repeating the word is not going to define it for me.
Fine.
He's looking at me, and I'm looking at her like, oh. And it turns out that what she wanted was basically like a stovepipe look to the leg. So, and then she wanted the body short. Okay. So from that day on, for the next 5 years, we called him Hammy with the lammy legs.
That's perfect.
Hammy with the lammy.
Hammy with the lammy. That was his name, Hammy with the lammy legs. Never just called him Hammy. It was Hammy with the lammy legs.
Well, I can almost see that, because in old poodle books, the lamb, didn't they used to call a lamb trim where they had the big mutton, like mutton chop legs, kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I that would be my second guess as to what lammy
Stovepipe
legs.
legs is what they've been referred to before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there are many interpretations of what a lammy leg could be. and we were just trying to clarify. So, I mean, I put the book up on the counter and I'm like this? No. And the first thing I showed her was what? Stovepipe legs.
Yeah.
She said,
And those are the most painful conversations trying to because they're frustrated, rightfully so, right? That's all they know. They don't know our terms or our lingo. And I always feel so bad having these conversations. Like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. This isn't normal.
Mhm.
We need to figure this out. And I feel bad that they're frustrated, but they're so painful to have. Oh, yes. Cats, we've gotten a lot of those because a lot of people, because we have a cat salon, they walk in, they're like, I don't know, we just want it groomed. I'm like, well, how do you want it groomed? And they're like, I don't care. Or, like a cat. I'm like, no, there's lots of variations even just for cats.
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, so we got 2 comments. One, they had a standard cockapoo puppy cut, and the conversation lasted way too long. Yes, they last way too long when you're trying to figure out something. She wanted a round face, shaved feet, a tiny bit off the body. At checkout, it was basically a 7 shave down.
I saw that thread, Daria.
Mm.
And then the owner turned around and said, well, I don't think we're a good mix. Next time I want him to do it. Meaning the other groomer. And the other groomer is like a poodle groomer. That's like their specialty. And so my response to that was, yes, she wants him. However, does he want her? After all the shenanigans that she put her through. And it was like, wow. I read that thread and I was like, oh.
Oh. And then you have clients that come in that want the stovepipe legs, say stovepipe, and then give you a standard poodle that doesn't get any angulation in back. 0. She wanted it straight up and down. I'm like, how do you even do that? She had big girl booty in back too. It's like her legs were disproportionate. She looked like she was a drag race car.
Yeah, so she said the other groomer comes out with a poodle book for every single poodly dog. I do the same thing. I have it right there by the counter so we can just go, what's your thing? Show me the point.
Oh, and I think I have the book over there on my grooming bookshelf. But carry on. I'm going to go grab it because there's a book for that. Not necessarily a poodly book, but there's a book for that.
I
I've
also
got
have
a
a
Sam Cole version
scrapbook.
that just kind of shows what that dog's supposed to look like, and then several different trims for poodles as well. And I find that, especially the people who come and say, well, I want him cut like a Yorkie. Then you pull out the Yorkie. I'm like, so that means nothing with a bow.
Right.
Is that what you're saying to me? Yeah.
This is a great book to have. It might even have like a handout with just pull out cards. But it's the theory of 5, and that they're 5, and it's possibly oversimplified, but there's 5 basic heads, 5 basic ears, 5 basic legs, tail, body. So you can basically mix and match. It's a super good book for beginners. And it's not the worst. You know what? It's not the worst book just for anyone to have as a reference, as a resource, because it can help with different looks. And they go, well, I want this look, or I don't want it to look like a poodle. And then you pull out poodle heads and you're like, okay, what don't you want?
None of those.
None of those.
What we ended up doing is I made a scrapbook and I divided it up by breed, and there were pictures of, this is a Shih Tzu with long ears, with mid ears, with short ears, with shaved ears, and the varied lengths on tail, legs, body, all the different things. And there's pictures of all of them, so they can go, I like those ears, and I want that face, and I want this head, and I want those legs. And that cut down. Okay, building the scrapbook was a pain in my behind. However, worth all the time that I spent on it, because it has saved us so much on all the Yorkies and the Maltese and the Shih Tzus and the Doodles and all that stuff.
You thought about possibly publishing that or making that into a workshop?
I have a project for her. Wait.
No, that actually never occurred because it's pictures of the dogs that we groomed.
Okay.
So
So honestly, I think all of you ought to just have a notebook when you're talking with me, right?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
I have a remarkable. Don't worry. I think I should have a file on my remarkable that says Mary.
Okay.
You can have your own file folder.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
But no, seriously, Angie, have you thought about taking that scrapbook and making it into some sort of a workbook and do a workshop on it? I think it would be great.
not until now.
Mindy.
Said so. I just talked myself into another class, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did. And I've actually got a bigger project idea for you.
Okay, scrapbook class, check.
We'll
Hey.
talk after the live stream.
So,
Adding to the
hey,
list.
Chris, someone's
Oh.
asking about the air quality by you.
Oh my God, it's horrible. Where's the fire, Dara? Where's the fire? Like, literally.
I heard Canada.
Well, yeah,
I-
yeah. I'm up here on the basically on the Canadian border, and it hasn't been too bad. It seems to have passed by us already, but for a couple days around this time of year, it's really smoky too. And it's the forest fires in Canada.
Is all of Saskatchewan burning that it's that bad here? Like, it's bad. I thought it was nearby. Like, I kept checking the horizon for smoke because it's like, I don't know if my eyes are all, my throat's bad. Actually, I had to come in and crank up the air purifier. It's bad.
See, now, as I was leaving work, this is a complete digression, but as I was leaving work today, I looked up at the sky and it looked really, really weird. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to Amy. And I was like, creepy sky, creepy sky. Because the sun was like an odd, I don't know, it was like a pinkish with like a red, you know what Manny referred to as blood on the moon, but it was on the sun.
And there was, you know
The
what?
whole sky was gray.
What time, when did those fires start? Because my husband actually woke me up very tentatively and briefly at like 5 a.m. to come look at the moon because the moon was red.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's never
so
good.
Google being our friend. Air quality alert: wildfire smoke from Canada evades New York tri-state area.
Okay, that'd do it.
So it's past us.
Yeah, air quality levels in parts of the U.S. plunge as Canada burns.
Oh God.
Yeah, so no, it's the Canadian wildfires. Anyway,
That is horrible and tragic, and I will not make a horrible comment.
okay,
But
so
regarding talking to our customers and talking to other groomers, part of the reason I brought this up was, and I have an analogy and a backstory. And no, this isn't just an excuse to talk about how happy I am. I now have a housekeeper that comes twice a month.
yeah,
But I was talking about it with my client today because she's the one I indirectly got the referral from and all of this stuff. And for the longest time, I would look at my friends' homes and I'd look at their houses and I'd be like, I don't know how she does it. She's got this big house. She works hard too. She's also like, wow. I just made me feel bad about myself because I was comparing myself to other people. And then I find out she's a housekeeper that comes twice a month. That's why she's able to keep her house looking that. And the more, once I started talking, and all of these people I knew had one, and I never knew they had one. And it made me have unrealistic expectations of myself and what I should be doing. And I understand the whole never let them see you sweat mentality. But it made me think of problem customers or slow seasons or groomers having issues. And if we stop looking at the fellow shops as competition and start talking, we'll realize that Ms. Karen Jones, there's nothing wrong with us that we can't make her happy. She's been through all the local shops and she is a Ms. Karen. And there are issues, but we didn't want to talk to any of our fellow groomers.
Good point.
We didn't realize this dog's been kicked out of 20 shops. And we're not just failing as a groomer because we can't get his feet done or his face done or whatever he doesn't want done that day. The dog legit has some problems and issues that the owner's not willing to work with. So it's not just communicating with our customers. It's also that, because if the customer has never been told that their dog is a demon, and I don't know, my groomer just, and customers also fib, but my groomer's just always booked and too booked to get me in anymore. Instead of, I like you, and I do like your dog, but they're kind of like a demon spawn from hell who wants to swallow my soul every time I try to groom them. And I can't anymore.
All right. And I think that's a really good point, because sometimes, and I've seen the threads in the groups on Facebook about people on both sides of the fence. Oh, no. We can never tell the owners how bad their dogs are. And the other one is, oh, yeah. We will videotape it. We will write a book about it. We will let you know that this is a problem. And it doesn't serve the customer or the pet any favors by hiding the behavior of the pet. Because there are so many pets that called me that, you know what, groomer must have done something, because she was grooming him fine for all these years now. All of a sudden, she can't. Instead of saying, you know what, my groomers have had a lot of problems grooming my dog over the years. I think maybe a different environment might help, or a different person might help. But the other groomers always had a problem. I think there's a difference when you have the conversation starting that way, rather than, well, you know what, I don't know. Maybe you know the other groomers in the area, and you know who are the ones who shouldn't be around pets, and the ones who that's not the case at all. Someone is going to get hurt when you're not being honest. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I also think that there's an issue in communication between groomers themselves, even with all the shops down the street. I came from a community where everybody knew everybody. The groomers knew everybody. We raised our kids together, went on barbecues, the whole 9 yards. If we had a difficult client or we were sending somebody to somebody else, it was no problem to call up Craig down the way or this groomer, and we talked. I now live in a state, and I love all of you Arizona groomers. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, but girls, boys, we got to get it together, and everybody in between. This is the wild west of grooming out here, and it's hard to get these groomers to talk to each other. We've tried to form a state association, I don't know how many times, and in different types of ways, and for some reason, everybody just goes, nah. They just walk away. And it's really, you have to be able to talk to one another. And I will remind you, as often as I have to, there are 9 billion pets in the U.S. right now, and only about 110,000 groomers. There's no competition. You could have 5 grooming salons on the same street, basically in a mid-sized city, and all of them should be full if you're doing your job. There's no competition. Groom the way you want to groom. All the clients that love you will be attracted to you. You will have plenty of clientele.
I had a customer call. Okay, red flag number 1. We have what's called an auto attendant. So because we have 3 separate lines, there's my line and there's Pia's line and there's Christy's line. So there's the initial greeting telling you for Angie and all cats and bunnies, please press 1, followed by the pound sign. For Pia, please press 2, followed by the pound sign. For Christy, please press 3, followed by the pound sign. Prior to that is the entire section that at this time, we are unfortunately, or not even unfortunately, we are not taking new dogs at this time. Mm-hmm. We thank you very much for your interest, and we hope you find a groomer that suits your needs. And then it says blah, 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 blah. So this woman called and she pushed into my line. And I was working on a pet. I do not answer the phone. And it was cat day. So Angie was working with me. She's my assistant. She answers the phone when I'm working on dogs. And she called about 8 times in a row. Never left a message, just kept calling. We finished the cat and I grabbed the phone because I was like, my great googly moogly, if this woman calls one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. So I answered the phone and I was like, how can I help you? And she said, oh, well, I have a Bichon and I want to make an appointment to get him groomed. And I said, well, we're not taking new pets at this time. But I can refer you to some local salons that may have a spot for you. And she's like, well, I've been to 8 other salons and none of them are good. So what salons do you have? And I was like, probably those 8. I honestly, I can't really think of any others because the ones I know are probably all of those 8 if they're local. And she's like, well, they were all local. I said, well, then I'm sorry, I can't help you, but I hope you have a wonderful day. Click. Now, mind you, there are groomers, those 8 of those local groomers, there are 2 of them that one is world-renowned, a world-renowned groomer, international groomer, like award-winning. Another one is a competitive groomer who is outstanding.
Wait. Don't you have, should I just say the name? Isn't Suzecco in your area?
She went to Suzecco and insists, wait. All right, everybody swallow what you are drinking at the moment.
Wait, I need alcohol.
Get your soda.
Because I'm calling bullshit.
She said, I almost died. She said Suzecco didn't know how to give a Bichon.
Oh, okay. No one will be worthy of her dog. No one will be.
Bless her heart.
Oh my God. I was like, okay. I hope you have a nice day. It was all
Did you tell her that she's an award-winning groomer, so clearly no one is going to be good enough to groom her dog? You know what? For $2,000, I'll spend a week and train you to do it yourself. $2,000.
Wait. It gets better. Mind you, that came on the heels of, well, Pampered Pet is only 10 minutes from me. And the owner, Suzecco, is an international world-renowned groomer who has competed like all over the place. And she's amazing. Oh, I took my dog there and she groomed my dog and she doesn't know how to groom a Bichon. And I was like, what the what? Are you high? I didn't say that. But that's what I was thinking. I'm like,
unfortunately, I probably would have said that out loud.
You know who you're talking. This woman is like, oh my God. I have no idea what Mindy asked. What does she think a Bichon should look like? Obviously, she doesn't know because
She
I
clearly-
guarantee you Suzuko does, like so does. And I bet that groom was amazing and perfect and couldn't have been better. She has no idea what she's talking about.
Pardon my vulgarity, but Suzuko could shit out a Bichon groom when she was half asleep that would look better than my best. So
And drunk and blindfolded.
blindfolded and drunk.
Strong
Like,
hand
not
behind
that
her
she would
back.
ever do that. We're not saying she would ever
No,
do
she
that.
would
But if
never.
someone like drugged her and put half a blindfold on her
She could
and held a
probably
gun
turn
to
out
her
a
head
decent
and
veteran,
said,
is all
"Groom
I'm
this
saying."
Bichon," so she's shaking, like still be a damn fine Bichon groom.
It would be competition worthy.
Right? Like
God.
one eye, no depth perception. She'd still place. I'm just
Probably first. I mean, my
Yes.
God. Yeah. Oh, she doesn't know how to do a Bichon groom. I'm like,
Oh,
You don't know how to go get somebody to groom your dog. That's what I'm really saying.
you don't know what a Bichon looks like. And you know what,
Oh,
Angie?
no.
I wonder if she even had a Bichon.
Who knows?
don't
Because
know.
Angie wasn't taking any new clients.
Right?
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
had a client once who had a purebred Bichon. And she kept bringing in pictures of Bichons for me. And I kept saying, unless I give the dog a perm, I can't do this, because the dog had not full on straight hair, but it did not have Bichon hair. There was
Was it
nothing.
Maltese hair?
It was like it was like a Bichon malt. It was like a Bichon mix. It was mixed. It was thick but flat. And she's like, "Well, it was a Bichon," and I flat out said to her face, in the "I make mistakes, so you don't have to." I said, "Well, what else did that breeder breed?
That's a good question.
yeah.
What else did that person breed? Because somebody jumped a fence."
I have a purebred Bichon that I groom. Or excuse me, purebred Maltese that I groom that looks exactly like a Bichon and has Bichon coat, amazingly enough, for a Maltese to have like coarse curly hair.
That was the same breeder as my client.
But
That
did
was
you
it.
know that they're actually related? They're related. Bichons are Maltese Bichons. Bichons are related to Maltese, as well as Bolognaise and Havanese.
Yeah,
They all are related. They all come from the same stock.
but a Maltese has straight, somewhat little maybe wavy hair.
Yeah.
And Bichon has curly hair. And this Maltese has literally like boingy ringlets. And she wants her, so I make her straighten her out to give her a haircut. And every time she says, "You have to curl her back up so she looks like a Maltese." And this one eye starts to twitch. And so I'm like, okay. And I wet it down with water and go, now she's nice and curly. She said, as a Maltese should be. And I go,
Yeah.
Oh, I would have curl formed that entire dog. I would have done it. Shirley
I
Temple ringlets over the entire dog. I would have done
I
it.
would
I would have
start
done it.
twitching too. I would legit.
I had a lady bring in a Bichon and she says, no one knows how to trim a Bichon. I trimmed it up in the latest fashion. And she's like, no. And she pulls out a picture from 1977. She wanted the Bell style, which is what I learned on. But who nowadays knows
Who
even
does a
about that
bell
trick?
anymore?
Right. You gotta be old enough to know that.
But you got to ask for that.
Yeah. She goes, no one knows how to trim a Bichon. I'm like, styles change.
Yeah.
They do, because the Bichon that I learned initially, like I took a picture of my Sam Cole book from when I started grooming, and it had the bell ears and all, and I was like, yeah, and because they had posted a picture of this is what the dog came in. And I was like, no, don't crap on that, because that's an older groomer, and that was the style back in the day. And they just haven't updated, and they don't know that there's a difference. And I said, so don't throw shade. You can tell them they hadn't updated, but that was the style when I learned. That's how I learned.
Same here, yeah.
And then
now I'm forever doomed to never have a real good Bichon head evermore, because I can't get this new style. I always say cutting the bell, cutting the bell, cutting the bell.
Yeah. And so now but then the new book came out. I got the new book and I was like,
oh.
But Bichon became my favorite haircut because of that. I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this really good.
Yeah, you know what? I remember the bell head, and I actually kind of liked it too.
I love the bell head on a Bichon. I thought
it does look really cute.
Yeah.
All right. So someone makes mention of that there. That's someone. I like the terminology. Some front yard breeding.
not even backyard.
Hey, girl.
Front yard.
All right. So, and I think really the point we want to make here is that, and even within your own shop. So I'm a brand new groomer, and they come in with American Eskimo and a Shepherd, and the card looks like it says 7 skin. Okay. Now it said 7 skim, and I'm looking at the dog, and it didn't sound right. So I tried to show the groomer who's been there longer than me the card, and she's just like, just do whatever the card says,
Mm-hmm.
And until I did that stripe down the back, then she freaked out. Because why would you write the word 7 skim and put a number on it? Why wouldn't you just say skim the coat?
Exactly. Why with a 7? Because that's what they did with the 7. I would never put a number 7 in a newbie's hand and say, "Oh yeah, okay, go for it, skim."
Right.
Just skim it. They don't know how to do that.
Well, actually, I wasn't allowed to use a pair of shears until I could skim an entire. All right. So my mentor, Karen, put a Springer Spaniel on the table, and she handed me the old Oster A5, and she handed me a 7 skip tooth and said, all right, skim it down. You have 45 minutes. I want the whole dog done 1 inch all over. There you go.
That's a drill instructor there. That is a mentor. Yeah.
But let me tell you, and she's like, oh, and she tossed me a measuring tape. There you go.
Okay, so I need to know who did a 10 skim on an American Eskimo, because I'm just seeing Facebook user.
Yeah, that's
Daria.
bold. That's bold. I would just put a long ass snap on that.
See, I do that too. I skim all the time.
So
with my scissors.
Actually, you did not work for Petco in Brookfield, Connecticut in, say, 1998, did you? Because if you did, we're going to have words.
And honestly, though, by this point, I would just use my scissors.
Yeah.
And I would scissor all over. Oh,
yeah.
No, skimming is so much faster.
No.
Oh my God, I can skim
Not
out.
for me.
not for me.
I can skim out. Okay, like I'll skim a dog with the wild woo, and no, I can do that so much faster.
I have a skim. I probably put like a long comb. I would put a long comb on to skim, because that gives me just a little bit more cushion to be safe.
The only place I would skim on is if the butt wanted to be taken down.
Yes.
Then I would skim, but the rest of it, I would do faster with my different chunkers and have more fun. Okay, maybe you would do it 3 to 4 minutes faster than me, but I would have more fun.
I don't know. I love skimming because that was one of my object lessons. So then, by the way, as soon as I was done skimming, And she came over and combed it all up and said, that's 1.5 inches. That's 2 inches. This is 3/4. So she showed me where I screwed everything up. And then she said, okay, strip it down with the 7.
Yeah, I've done that a lot with new people because if it's going to be a 7 all over anyway, a 7 kennel, why not teach them different techniques before they have to get down there? Yeah.
So
And
that's exactly how I learned.
Are you sure that wasn't a very specific layer of hell?
No, because I'll tell you what, I learned more doing that with her than I ever learned in any other shop. And keep in mind, she wasn't even my boss. She was another groomer, and I was not working at the time. I was off learning how to groom for free, and she was willing to teach me. And so she did, like, she would say, all right, Ange, I want you to do this. And she would say, blow out this whole poodle. Now, this is back in the day of stand dryers and my little Frank's Oster comb or brush. And she's like, all right, fluff it. And I'd fluff the coat. And then she'd go, okay. And then she'd shave it off with a 7 and leave the ringlets. But that dog was fluffed beautifully. And what wasn't fluffed beautifully, she'd come over with the spray bottle and go, do that again.
Do it again.
And she was an amazing teacher. And I looked for her for years on Facebook, and I cannot find her. And God, how I wish I could, because she taught me so much about grooming. And I never gave her anything for that. She did that of her own free time and own volition to help me. And
she's anywhere out in the world, Angie, she knows she did a good thing. That was a good work, because look at you now.
And the little thingies behind a Shih Tzu's beard. Every time I have done a Shih Tzu's face in the last 30 years, I can hear her in my head going, Ange, did you check behind that beard? Did you check behind that beard? Did you check behind that beard? And I'm like, yes, Karen, I'm checking behind the beard. You're right. Okay, there. Because if you don't, they go boing.
I think I want to do a series on people who have groomed for a length of time, because all of us are mentored by hundreds of people as we go through, right? It's never just one person. It's many great people that help you along your way. And I would just like to do just a little documentary and talk to them and have them groom a dog. But I want them to say what's going through their head the entire time, because you'll find in the course of grooming one kennel trim Shih Tzu, there's about 40 different people that taught you how to do that ear and that toe and underneath the tail and the technique of how you make the clipper work smooth and all that. I want to hear the tapes that are going in your head, because I have them too. I think a bunch of people do. I just think it would be really interesting. And then we could do a little pop-up on the side saying, yeah, this came from this mentor. This came from this mentor. This came from this mentor. And you would realize, and I think a lot of people new to it would find it very interesting. You can't just take one person, and say, oh yeah, she was my mentor. He was my mentor. Hundreds of people mentor us as we go along. We learn one little snippet. Oh, to get that pinky toe just right on this particular dog, that's one person, but your pinky toes are beautiful forever after that. So I think Mary's was, though, when you write down on the card, whatever it is that you're doing, write it down so another person who's never met you and will never meet you can discern what's on that card.
I was mentored as well by a giant Schnauzer breeder, and she was the tiniest. I mean, you're talking maybe 4'10", teeny tiny little Russian lady, and she was maybe 75 at the time. She had 12 of them, and we went through all of them as I learned. And to this day, anytime anybody says Schnauzer or giant Schnauzer, what I hear in my head is Angie, inside elbow, Angie, inside elbow. And I hear it in her teeny tiny, but she didn't speak. Everything was yelling.
Mhm.
She yelled everything, and I can't not hear her. So it's a joke between me and my friend Amy when we're talking, and I just randomly say, "Inside elbow, inside elbow," because
All right,
it's the
ladies,
thing.
we are up on 45 minutes already, so we need to wrap this up.
Inside elbow.
All right, and we will be back next week. Okay. So if you have anything you would like to discuss, just let us know. Maybe we'll stay on topic.
Nah.
We
Sort
kind
of.
of did.
Kinda ish.
Be clear. Talk to
For
your
at
groomer
least
friend.
a half an hour. For at least a half an hour of our.
We did, and then it kind of went off the rails. But
Okay. All right. So we will see everybody next week.
Cheers.